What if I told you Jung's most forbidden insight could decode the hidden map of the female psyche? That beneath the polished surface of love stories and self-help clichés lies a labyrinth of archetypes, shadows, and secret compulsions. A labyrinth so powerful that once you glimpse it, you'll never look at women the same way again. This isn't the psychology you'll find in classrooms or glossy magazines. This is the forbidden map, the one Jung hinted at in his private letters, then buried beneath layers of symbolism. Why? Because the truth is dangerous. The truth unravels the polite illusions society feeds you. You've been told to just communicate, to love her as she is, to be supportive and kind. But while men follow these fairy tales, relationships collapse, marriages fracture, and loneliness spreads like a plague. Generations of men wander blindly, wondering why devotion is never enough, why stability doesn't ignite desire, why love slips through their fingers no matter how much they give. Here's the unsettling reality. Women are not moved by logic or kindness alone. They are moved by archetypes older than civilization, by unconscious dramas written into the collective mind. Jung discovered that female desire is not random. It follows patterns, patterns hidden so deeply that most men will die without ever seeing them. This is the psychology no professor will dare to teach you, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The only question is, do you want to remain blind, or are you ready to unlock the map? For decades, you've been told the same recycled advice. Just communicate, be honest, love her as she is. Relationship gurus repeat it like scripture, self-help authors polish it into slogans, and modern culture celebrates it as the cure for every problem. But if that advice worked, why is the world drowning in broken families, skyrocketing divorce rates, and silent bedrooms where two strangers sleep side by side? Why is an entire generation medicating loneliness with apps, one-night stands, and half-hearted promises? Here's the bitter truth no one dares to say out loud. Communication alone does not awaken desire. Kindness does not guarantee loyalty. And unconditional devotion often breeds not love, but contempt. Men who follow the rules are left abandoned, confused, asking themselves why doing everything right led them to heartbreak. Society tells you to be predictable, safe, endlessly available. But predictability suffocates passion, safety dulls attraction, endless availability kills mystery. And yet, these illusions are sold as the foundation of love. No wonder so many wander through relationships like ghosts, never touching the fire they secretly crave. Jung saw this collapse long before our time. In his private writings, in letters exchanged with Freud, he warned of the hidden currents shaping female desire, currents that no amount of polite advice could ever touch. He described a psyche moved not by logic but by archetypes, not by surface values, but by shadow compulsions. He understood that what women say they want and what truly ignites their unconscious are rarely the same thing. But his most radical insights never made it into the textbooks. They were too dangerous, too disruptive. Imagine telling a society built on fairy tales that attraction follows symbols older than religion, that devotion alone cannot compete with the hunger of the unconscious. They ignored him. They buried his words under the safe, sterilized version of psychology. But what if the answers were hidden in Jung's private writings, ignored for nearly a century? What if the truth about the female mind was never lost, only silenced? Jung believed that women do not act merely from logic or raw emotion. Their choices emerge from something older, deeper, and infinitely more powerful: archetypes. These ancient images live beneath the surface of consciousness, shaping attraction, desire, and even betrayal, long before reason has a chance to intervene. To Jung, every woman wears masks. The persona, the social face she shows the world, the shadow, the desire she denies even to herself, the anima, the inner figure of the feminine, guiding her search for meaning and intimacy. These masks aren't costumes she chooses. They are roles imposed by the unconscious, switching without warning, directing her relationships like a hidden script. One of the most vivid examples comes from Lou Andreas Salome. She was the confidant of Nietzsche, the muse of Rilke, and later a close ally of Freud. To Nietzsche, she became the untouchable goddess, inspiring his most fevered writings yet rejecting his proposal of marriage. To Rilke, she played the nurturing guide, shaping him into the poet who would give the world his immortal verses. And to Freud, she revealed a sharp intellectual mask, the analyst who spoke his language of the unconscious. Observers were baffled. How could one person embody such contradictions? Jung's answer was chilling in its simplicity. She was not consciously choosing these roles. They were chosen through her. She became a canvas on which male projections activated different archetypes. She responded not as herself, but as the eternal images within her psyche demanded. This is where modern science collides with ancient psychology. Studies in cognitive psychology reveal that people unconsciously shift their behavior depending on the social role projected onto them. A 2019 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that women describe their preferences differently when imagining themselves as partners, professionals, or mothers. Attraction itself bent under the weight of the role. Think about what that means. A woman's desire for one man can evaporate overnight, not because he changed, but because the archetype she is inhabiting shifted. When she unconsciously wears the mask of the caregiver, she longs for security. But when the shadow rises, she craves danger, unpredictability, and chaos. This is the first layer of Jung's hidden map. Female behavior is not random. It is orchestrated by masks older than memory. And the tragedy is that most men mistake the mask for the woman herself. They fall in love with the persona, only to be destroyed when the shadow emerges. They cling to the motherly figure, only to be discarded when the goddess archetype takes over. The frightening truth? You are never dealing with just her. You are dealing with the archetype she carries in that moment. And unless you learn to recognize these shifting masks, you will always be at their mercy. So the question is, will you keep chasing illusions? Or will you finally learn to see the archetype behind the mask? If archetypes are the masks women wear, then the shadow is the mask she never wants you to see. Jung warned that the shadow holds the impulses she denies, represses, or fears, the traits that clash with her conscious identity. Yet these very traits secretly direct her choices. A woman may claim she wants kindness, devotion, stability. But her shadow may hunger for intensity, risk, even cruelty. She can stand before the world as the perfect daughter, the nurturing mother, the loyal partner, while unconsciously gravitating toward the man who embodies everything she insists she despises. A striking example is Simone de Beauvoir. In public, she was the philosopher of clarity, the writer who dissected patriarchy with ruthless logic, the partner of Sartre in their grand intellectual project. She stood for independence, equality, reason. Yet privately, her diaries and letters reveal a different drama. She became entangled in turbulent affairs with younger lovers, drawn to intensity and passion that contradicted her public rationalism. To Jung, this wasn't hypocrisy. It was the shadow at work. The more fiercely she repressed her longing for raw intensity in her intellectual persona, the more irresistibly it drew her toward men who embodied it. The paradox of the shadow. What she cannot accept in herself, she seeks in another. Jung called it enantiodromia, the tendency of the psyche to swing to its opposite, and nowhere is this law more destructive or more seductive than in love. Modern psychology has confirmed what Jung intuited. A 2016 study in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that individuals often choose partners who express traits they consciously disapprove of but secretly suppress within themselves. The very qualities people deny in surveys about ideal partners frequently show up in the lovers they pursue most passionately. So what does this mean for you? It means the battlefield of attraction is not fought on the surface, where logic and declarations reign. It is fought in the unconscious, where the shadow whispers its forbidden desires. Men who cling only to a woman's stated preferences, her checklists, her words, her ideals, end up blindsided when her heart betrays her own speech. And here's the chilling truth. The shadow doesn't play fair. It doesn't care about promises, vows, or logic. It seeks balance, not comfort. If she suppresses darkness in herself, she will chase it outside herself. If she denies her aggression, she will hunger for a man who embodies it. If she represses her longing for freedom, she will crave the outlaw, the wanderer, the one who cannot be caged. This is the second layer of Jung's hidden map. Women are not guided by what they consciously want, but by the shadows they cannot escape. The question isn't whether the shadow exists. The question is, will you see it before it devours you? Jung once wrote that we do not truly fall in love with another person. We fall in love with our own projections. The beloved becomes a screen onto which we cast our deepest hopes, wounds, and fantasies. What feels like intimacy is often nothing more than a mirror reflecting back the image we long to see. This is why love so often feels both intoxicating and fragile. We are not meeting the person as they are. We are meeting the dream we've painted on their skin. No one embodied this danger more vividly than Greta Garbo, the mysterious star of Hollywood's golden age. On screen, she was adored as the tragic heroine, the eternal lover, the unreachable goddess. In her personal life, she became lost in a series of relationships where she projected impossible myths onto her partners. To one, she attached the role of savior, hoping he could rescue her from isolation. To another, she cast the role of poet, expecting him to transform her turmoil into art. Inevitably, reality failed the projection, and the romance collapsed into disillusionment. But as each romance collapsed, one truth became impossible to ignore. The men were never truly what she believed them to be. They were projections, masks painted by her unconscious longing. And when reality broke through the dream, the illusion shattered, leaving her lost, searching for the next canvas. Jung understood this tragedy. He called projection the most dangerous form of enchantment, because while it creates the intensity of early passion, it also guarantees disappointment. The beloved can never live up to the myth cast upon them. Modern psychology echoes this warning. A 2020 study in Frontiers in Psychology found that individuals who idealize their partners report higher short-term satisfaction, but dramatically lower long-term stability. The very act of placing someone on a pedestal almost ensures their eventual fall. Neuroscience adds another layer. Brain scans show heightened activity in reward circuits during the idealization phase of a relationship. The same circuits triggered by addictive substances. No wonder projection feels like a drug. And here is the unsettling part. Most people never realize they are projecting. They insist their love is pure, that they have finally found the one. Yet what they have truly found is an image stitched together from childhood wounds, cultural myths, and unfulfilled desires. The person across from them is less a partner than a mirror. This is the third layer of Jung's hidden map. Love is often an illusion, a projection that blinds us as much as it binds us. So ask yourself, when you look into her eyes, do you really see her? Or do you only see the dream your unconscious demands she play? If the shadow explains a woman's hidden compulsions, Jung's most dangerous revelation takes us further. Female desire is not only shaped by her personal history, it is written into the collective unconscious, the vast ocean of symbols, myths, and archetypes that humanity has carried for millennia. This is why certain patterns repeat across cultures and centuries. It is why a woman in ancient Athens, a woman in Renaissance Florence, and a woman in modern New York may be moved by the same invisible forces. Her longings are not simply hers, they are echoes of archetypes older than language. Take the polarity of Aphrodite and Hecate. Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty, intimacy, seduction, she embodies warmth, charm, the promise of love's sweetness. But beneath the same cultural fabric lurks Hecate, the goddess of shadows, of crossroads, of hidden power. She embodies danger, independence, the darkness that refuses to be controlled. For centuries, literature and legend have cast women through these twin figures: the muse who inspires tenderness and the sorceress who destabilizes kingdoms. Think of Helen of Troy, whose beauty sparked a war, and Medea, whose vengeance left even kings trembling. These myths are not relics. They are living codes in the female psyche. Modern culture only redresses them. Today's Aphrodite walks across our screens in romantic comedies, the radiant heroine who wants nothing more than love. Today's Hecate emerges in television anti-heroines, complex, ruthless, magnetic, precisely because they embody forbidden strength. Whether it is the soft allure of a Disney princess or the dangerous charisma of a femme fatale, the message is clear. Women unconsciously measure themselves and their partners against cultural archetypes they did not choose. Contemporary research proves this. A 2021 study in cultural psychology found that exposure to media narratives directly shifts partner preferences, particularly for women. After watching films that glorified rebellious, unpredictable men, participants rated stable providers as less attractive. Another study in evolutionary behavioral sciences revealed that myths and mass narratives act as social blueprints, silently guiding what traits are seen as desirable, long before personal experience enters the picture. What does this mean for relationships? It means that when she chooses, she is not only choosing from her personal wounds or shadow desires. She is also choosing in resonance with myths as old as civilization. The man she craves may not be the one who fits her life, but the one who awakens an ancient story written into her unconscious. And this is where most men fail. They believe they are competing with other men. In truth, they are competing with gods, legends, and archetypes, with Aphrodite, who whispers of passion, with Hecate, who whispers of chaos, with the collective unconscious itself, which decides what she feels before she even understands why. This is the third layer of escalation in Jung's hidden map. Culture is not decoration, it is destiny. And unless you learn to see the myths at play, you will always mistake her desires as personal, when in truth, they are universal. So ask yourself, when she chooses, is it really about you, or is it about the story that has already been written inside her? If the collective unconscious explains the myths that shape desire, Jung's most forbidden insight goes further still. True passion is not born from comfort, devotion, or even attraction. It emerges when one partner becomes the mirror of transformation, the catalyst for individuation. For Jung, individuation was the great journey of the psyche, the process of becoming whole by confronting the shadow, embracing hidden potentials, and integrating all the parts of the self. What few dare to admit is that this process often begins and is ignited through relationships. The person we love most deeply is not merely a partner. They are the mirror reflecting back the self we could become. No story captures this better than that of Rainer Maria Rilke and Lou Andreas Salome. When Rilke first met her, he was an uncertain young poet, struggling to find his voice. Lou did not coddle him. She did not soothe him with flattery. Instead, she challenged him, pushed him, demanded that he grow into the artist he was destined to be. Under her influence, he wrote the works that made him immortal. And yet, she too was transformed. Beneath her brilliant intellect, Lou had buried her own depths of passion. Through Rilke, she rediscovered her vulnerability, her capacity to feel, her hidden fire. Their bond was not built on safety, it was built on evolution. Neither was the same person after their union. This is the forbidden truth. Women do not fall in love with men who merely adore them. They fall in love with men who transform them. Devotion without transformation fades. Comfort without challenge dies. But when a man becomes the mirror of a woman's potential, he becomes unforgettable. Modern psychology confirms it. A 2018 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people reported the strongest and most enduring bonds with partners who expanded their self-concept, who made them feel like larger, more dynamic versions of themselves. Another study by relationship expert Arthur Aaron revealed that shared experiences of growth, not stability, predict long-term passion. And yet, most men fail precisely here. They strive to be providers, protectors, caretakers, but they never dare to be alchemists, to ignite the latent potential hidden in the woman before them. They mistake love for comfort when its true essence is transformation. This is the fourth layer of Jung's hidden map. Passion thrives not where a woman feels safe, but where she feels she is becoming. The man who reflects only what she already knows is replaceable. The man who reflects what she could be is irreplaceable. The question is not whether she loves you. The question is whether she evolves because of you. So ask yourself, are you her comfort or are you her transformation? There comes a moment when the illusion of love shatters, when you realize it was never about flowers, promises, or devotion. It was about archetypes, shadows, myths, and the transformation that only the deepest bonds can ignite. Jung's hidden map to the female psyche reveals what few dare to accept. Women do not fall for the man who offers the most. They fall for the man who awakens the most. Safety does not breed passion. Transformation does. Think of it. The masks she wears, the shadows she denies, the myths she unconsciously enacts, the self she is destined to become, all of them collide in her choice of a partner. If you see only her words, you remain blind. If you dare to see her archetypes, her shadow, her projections, and her collective myths, you hold the key. This knowledge unsettles because it strips away every comfortable lie. But if it disturbs you, good. That means you are finally awake. There is one final truth Jung hinted at, a truth I will not fully reveal here. You can understand the map. You can study the masks, the shadows, the archetypes, the myths. You can even recognize them in the women around you. But knowing the map is not the same as igniting the fire, because attraction is not born from knowledge alone. It is sparked, like lightning, in the tension between awareness and action. Jung warned that the psyche is not moved by theory, but by lived experience. And the question every man secretly asks is not just, how do I understand her, but how do I awaken her? That, however, is another journey. A journey so vast it deserves an entire video on its own. So tell me, what curiosity burns in you now? Do you want to know how to ignite desire without becoming its victim? How not to be blinded by the masks, but to see through them? Or perhaps, how to master the art of love without losing yourself in projection? Drop your answer below. Tell me which question you want unlocked next. Because the map can be studied, but the fire must be learned. Like this video and subscribe if you're ready to go further. The next revelation will not wait, and I'll see you in the next one.